Welcome back to the Fish and Coach Show. My name is Brandon Fisher. This is Coach Ratner, and we're so honored to have Marc Rosenberg, business extraordinaire, back on our podcast. If you heard our previous podcast, you'll know that he is quite an expert.
I thought it was amazing talking to you last time. I'm so happy to have you back on our show again.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I feel like that's part of the reason I'm doing what I do is I love to share and I love to get back. But more, I learned more from you guys than I feel like you got from me. I feel like your expertise is awesome. Your stories are great. Brandon, your questions are very relevant and poignant. I love the way you ask them. So happy to be back. Best podcast I've ever interviewed for.
And this is why he's the best guest.
Yeah.
All right, Marc, you have one of the coolest origin stories that I know of. You partied at Florida State. You worked with the football team. I want to hear who you are and what got you into building To Know, which is your business consulting platform. But before we get more into your business mind and more expertise from you and learn from you, let's talk about what built you.
Yeah.
So what was it like in Florida State and wrestling championships beforehand?
Yeah. So in high school, as a high school wrestler, I played on the football team. I played football for 13 years, like basically since I was a kid. I grew up loving the game of football. And then when I was in high school, I had this body size to be a wrestler, not a football player, because I was 5'5" and 120 pounds. So I cut down the weight to 112 pounds and wrestled the lighter weights. It was pretty successful. I wouldn't say it's championships, but I did well. And then when I left high school, I didn't really have an interest in wrestling again because once you're at the college level, it's just serious and whatever. So, but I still loved football, and I went into the football office and I demanded a job.
That is
This what
so
school?
cool.
This what school?
Florida State.
What did you say?
So this is a great story. So I went up to the lady at the front desk because I would like to work for the football team, and she said, "Great. So do you want to walk on?" And I'm like, "Did you not look up from your computer?" You know, I was still at that time only 5'5", 130 pounds. They can use me as maybe a pad out there, to hit or something, maybe the football itself, but they're not using me as a walk.
At this time, did Florida State already win a lot of championships?
So this was the second year of Jimbo Fisher as the head coach. He had taken over in, I think, 2009.
Mm-hmm.
They had gone to the Gator Bowl or something that year, and then this was 2000. This is after the 2010 season, which they had won the Citrus Bowl, I believe.
This is still before James Winston?
Yeah, this is before Jim, which was this Christian Ponder, who was also a
remember him.
first-round
I
draft
remember
pick
him.
for the Minnesota Vikings, I believe.
Yeah.
He went number 16 or 18
Yeah.
overall. And then so he had left, and then we had E.J. Manuel as our quarterback, who also went mid-rounds to the Buffalo Bills in the first round, or mid-first round. And so I had gone into the office. She asked me if I wanted to walk on. I said no. I said, but I want to work for the team. She said, so you want to walk on? And this is a true story. She said it twice. I was like, now she was looking at me. She still said it. I was just like, what are we doing here? And then Monk, his name was Monk. It was Monk Bogart. I can't remember his last name. He actually had passed away from a brain surgery. They had a brain tumor. But amazing guy. He comes out of his office, sipping on a cup of coffee, and eating a fruit. And he's like, I'm called Darren. And I was like, I'm called Darren. I was like, what's Darren's phone number? I'd love to call him. And so I got the head of the equipment room. So every sports team usually has an equipment guy. Takes care of the cleats, the pads, ordering, the gear, the clothes, everything. Right? Anything that is worn, equipment. Jerseys, names, you name it. Right?
Right.
And so I got a touch with him, and he brought me in for an interview. And he said, look, we can't pay you, but you can volunteer. And I said, I'm in.
Wow.
It's exciting.
I'm in.
This is your freshman year?
Freshman year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, my second semester is freshman year. I'd been working intramurals at that point for money, but I was like, I don't really need the money. I'm in college. I want to have cool experiences, you know? I had a meal plan. I had a dorm. What do I need money for, right?
Yeah.
So beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was a pretty straight-laced guy.
Yeah.
Freshman, sophomore year, junior year is when it started to come out apart at the seams.
Yeah.
Once you turn 21.
Right, once you turn 21. So my mom and I always said, you can do whatever you want, but you have to make me two promises. One, that you do adult things when you're an adult. So don't, get some girl pregnant, and don't do drugs, and don't do the bad things that everybody does until you're 18 and you're on your own, you can make your own life decisions. So, and she said, so if that's true at 18, at 21, don't drink it till you're 21. And I, for the most part, I mean, I went to high school parties, whatever, but for the most part, I didn't drink it until I was 21.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that smoke cigarettes, right, when you're 18. So I got on to all the bad stuff at the right time.
Right.
Like she wanted me to.
Yeah.
But before, no. So
Make your mom proud.
yeah, she's don't listen to this, mom. And so I ended up on as a volunteer equipment manager. I volunteered for special teams and running backs, so I got close to people like Devontae Freeman, Chris Thompson, Wilder Jr., who ended up in the NFL, Carlos Williams, who ended up in the NFL, Lonnie Pryor, who was our fullback, and then I got involved with guys like Dustin Hopkins, who kicks for, I believe, the Redskins.
Yeah.
Which you guys would both know.
Yeah.
Sweet,
Well, no,
amazing.
the Commanders.
Commanders.
Right.
I called I did say that.
Yeah.
That's Freudian slip on that one. I just sorry. So I got it. That's basically my freshman into sophomore year, and then my junior year I became the scholarship equipment manager. So they paid me in a half ride that was really like a full ride scholarship. Huge. So my fun fact I always tell people is I was a Division I scholarship athlete, football for Florida State.
Yeah, you were.
And that's what my scholarship said.
It included athlete?
So the joke
Did it say athlete?
He said athlete.
Is it an athlete scholarship?
Athletic scholarship.
Well, you know, lifting those jerseys could be heavy. I mean, like,
Right.
you have to be pretty strong.
No idea.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
I mean, like, you know, you could have. Yeah.
And so I.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
So to kind of sum it all up, the cool part about this job was there's so many perks. So my 21st birthday party had half the cheerleading squad. The dancers on the sideline that aren't cheerleaders, half the dancer girls were there. 4 or 5 first-round NFL draft picks, including number 1 overall Jameis Winston, and number 32 overall in that draft was Brian Stork, who was our center. And then we had, I think, one of the defensive ends, either Brandon Jenkins.
At your birthday party.
Oh, at my birthday party.
That's so funny.
And so everybody came to kind of like party with.
The question everyone's wondering is why wasn't the whole cheerleading team there?
Right. They have other parties to go to. You know, half was a lot. You know?
You had the good-looking half.
Whatever. I don't.
I'm just kidding.
It was my 21st birthday party. I didn't really get to enjoy it.
Right.
You know, I was like way drunk way early, and they're like, "Happy birthday! Take a shot with me." And okay. So we won't go into too many more details on that. My mom will probably listen to this, and she'll be very upset. So I left there. Ended up working, staying in contact with some of the guys. Worked in the newspaper with the Spelling Bee, worked for the National Spelling Bee. I worked in a non-for-profit raising money. Then after that, I left college and worked at Verizon for a few years as my corporate experience. So I got more and more.
Corporate, not selling cell
not
phones.
the cell phones.
Wow.
I was a systems analyst and a technical analyst for them. And as time went on, I got more and more boring, you know.
Yeah.
But more and more money. So it balanced out.
Which we said last time is a limited incentive.
Yeah, exactly. So I left there, went to grad school like we talked about before, and then worked for a small software company making good money, and then now I'm in yeshiva.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. What are you doing now? And tell us what you're doing right now. What does a day look like for you?
Yeah, so I left the corporate world. I came to a place called yeshiva. It's most people would think like religious school, but it's a little bit more advanced than that. You're learning ancient Aramaic texts and laws in order to understand better the physical world around you and the laws of being an observant Jew.
Right.
That's what I do
now,
for about
you
15 hours a day.
pivoted. This is obviously pretty different from those days with partying with the cheerleaders and the dance team.
Yeah.
Football players. And you converted. What led you to these decisions?
Yeah, it's like I went from party animal to now I don't even touch girls or talk to them. I don't do any of that. I just learned this ancient Aramaic text for 15 hours a day.
It's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
There's also some Hebrew in there.
Yeah, Hebrew now and then. And then, I get told that I'm doing the wrong thing and I need to do better all day long.
You get punched even.
That is not true.
Right. So I think here's the thing. Yeah, I punched even. Yeah, that's funny. So the theme that kind of underlines all of this is that I'm somebody who has to be honest with myself. Right, and I have to be doing the thing that I think is true, and it's going to yield success. So in college, when I was doing these football things and things, I thought it'll be successful for my career. And it was. That Florida State equipment job landed me a job at Verizon because the guy I interviewed with, the director that probably ended up making the hiring decision,
Fan,
was
who's a fan? The team?
University of Miami alum.
Okay.
And he loved college football.
Yeah.
And so they're rivals, but we talked about the intricacies of football, and it's somebody who could just like talk to about football. And so he's like, you're in, right? And then when I went into grad school, I talked about like the story I told about at the airplane, right? I talked about in my interview at grad school, right? So everything is like a line of, I have to know that what I'm doing is going to yield success. And success for me is being happy with what I'm doing, right? And it's kind of like a weird way to phrase them. We'll probably dive more into this later. But really, it's how do I build a relationship, something, so that I love what I'm doing and I'm not upset or miserable or depressed, that I can be happy and I can share that happiness with other people. How can I live in the moment? How can I share that moment with other people? And ultimately, how do I have a successful life? And money's a part of that, and getting married is a part of that. And all these things are, when you start looking at it, you go, okay, so what's the best system? How do I plug myself into the systems and behaviors and patterns that are going to yield the highest likelihood of success? And to me, I found that in Judaism. How do I have the best family? How do I stay married to my wife? How do I make sure my kids are successful and getting a good education? How do I make money in a very honest way? How do I treat other people better? How do I become a better person? Right? All these questions you have, these big life questions. It's okay, because so you could try to make it up your own, which you're going to have limited success, or you can buy into a system, right? You can buy into that system and have guaranteed success, right? Judaism, if you do it right, I always tell people, if you do Judaism correctly, you will be successful, 100% guaranteed from God, right? Now, okay, it's really hard and really difficult. So anything worth having is worth working for. So do it anyway. That's what I told myself, at least. So
let's talk
that's
about
how
hard.
I ended up here.
I'm always interested in talking about challenges. Hard.
Yeah.
It is hard, but that doesn't. You're not someone who looks at hard as a barrier.
No, the harder the challenge, the more fun it is.
The more fun.
You have to. Your whole, like we talked about last time. Oh, I want to start my day off with easy things. Well, I resonate with my mom. Like, give me the hardest. Give me hard. When I was at Verizon in my first job, I had been there for 2 years, and there was a project that kept getting passed because people said it was impossible, and we had 4 systems in our company that nobody could really take a bill that we gave to a customer and tie it to where it gets processed in the general ledger. Right, so in layman's terms, we would make money, we'd throw it into the accounting machine, and we had idea where it came out.
You couldn't find it.
Couldn't find it.
Yeah.
It was just such a big, complicated system that one thing would talk to this other thing, and what system actually picked up that information, and where did it get processed? Like, we knew in general where it went, but we couldn't understand what was affecting it, so we could effectively target those customers and maybe incentivize or grow that business, whatever. And so we had 4 systems, and 0 out of 4 had been verified. I don't want to say verified in a bad way, but none of them had been reconciled in the way that in the way that they had wanted, in the 30 years of the company's history. Obviously, Verizon's much older, Bell South, whatever, et cetera. But from Verizon's history and the implementation of these systems, never. And within 8 months, I was able to do it for 1.
Wow.
So, okay, so we talked about success. What does that mean? I broke a barrier that had never been broken before.
Yeah.
And I had done it, and I had worked hard on it, and I accomplished it, and they gave me an award and patted me on the back. And okay, fine, I didn't do it for that.
Yeah.
I did it because somebody said it was impossible, and I was going to prove it wasn't.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And that's my life. I love that stuff.
So you switched. You went from partying with James Winston to going to a yeshiva. I mean, who does that? It's such a, well, besides me too.
Since everybody that comes to the yeshiva.
It's funny because I actually partied with Desmond Howard and Ricky Irvins. When I was living in Reston, Virginia, my roommate was dating a girl, and she was the agent for Desmond Howard, who was the Heisman Trophy winner.
Yep.
And Ricky Irvins, he was playing on the Redskins, and Ricky Irvins was a running back.
The Commanders.
And,
We both made that mistake.
Yeah,
Commanders.
Commanders. This is the Redskins.
Yeah.
And they came over to my house in Reston, Virginia, and Ricky left. Desmond left. Ricky came back over and sat in the hot tub with us. It was really funny because, I'm sitting in a hot tub with an NFL player. He's huge. And we watched the Monday Night Football game. And Desmond Howard ended up becoming a failure as a receiver.
Yep.
He was a receiver at Michigan?
Yeah, Michigan.
And he had this famous play, I think.
Yep.
And he
struck the Heisman. Yeah.
He got the Heisman. He failed as a receiver. But you know what he succeeded in? He kept going. He ended up playing for, gosh, I can't remember now. Lions? I don't remember. No. Vikings? Somebody, and he was a kick returner.
Yep.
Can you imagine a star receiver in college? Because usually the kick returner is a guy who they can't find anything else from. It's like almost kind of like the motion of football, right? No one wants to be the kick returner. No one says, I want to be a kick returner. Right, so or the special teams.
Right, special teams.
So he became, and he I think in the Super Bowl he won. He ran back like 2 touchdowns or something and got MVP of a Super Bowl.
Wow.
But he failed as a receiver. In the
Definitely
NFL.
not for the Lions or the Vikings because they
Who
never
was
won
it?
a
Who
Super
was
Bowl.
Anyway,
Anyway, but just
I'm interested. It sounds like what you do is all about your personal growth and what you believe is going to set up the opportunity for success.
Right.
So now we got to talk about this is all about the execution.
right.
And you've executed what you saw as the best road forward. Let's talk about execution, efficiency, and effectiveness, as we call it, the 3 E's.
Right.
I would love to get into that topic.
Right. So I talk about execution because so many people get scared about step 1. Right. And so you always have this thing, I want to go do this thing. I want to be this person. I want to accomplish this task. And they get scared at the first step. And so when I talk about coaching other people in my business, or when I talk about even myself or personal growth, everything is as tied in as one. I really say, execute. Just do the thing. Do the thing, right? As soon as you're doing the thing, you can process data, you can build things. But if you're in your head, you're going to fail because you're going to start imagining, well, what happens if it doesn't go well? And what happens when it doesn't go well? You start to think, maybe it's not for me. And so in your head, you've already failed. You didn't even take step 1 yet. And so it's funny because most people would say, well, wouldn't you put execution at the end of that? And you put it at the beginning, like execution, efficiency, effectiveness. Why in that order? Oh, maybe order doesn't matter. Mark's just saying words. No, order does matter. You have to start doing and start. Okay, you can plan. There's some level of planning that comes before that, sure. But if you want to be, you have to do.
If you want to be, you have to do.
Right.
Put it into action.
Yeah, we're human beings, not human doings. But we do have to do it in order to be.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
And so then you start thinking about it as a filter, right? So a filter is a funnel. Sorry, not a filter, a funnel, right? And so you start putting things in, right? And a funnel gets more and more efficient as it goes through, right?
Tighter and
Tighter and tighter, and it starts putting things in, right, to a smaller vessel, right?
Right.
And so you have to think about your life as that way too. You have to take this. You built the funnel, right? Now you have to put stuff in, and then you have to become, with the things that you're putting in, more efficient. Right? So at the beginning, you can catch everything. You can do a lot of things. You can start testing and understanding. I'll give an example. So I was leaving business school, and you have to get a job. And I interviewed for literally every job on the planet. Product manager, product marketing manager, consultant, finance, accounting, business dev. If there was a job title that a typical MBA graduates and gets, I interviewed for that role.
Okay,
right?
wow.
And I ended up taking a program manager position, which is a hybrid product, hybrid business development role, and I loved it. And it was the only time I'd interviewed for that role. I'd interviewed for the other types of roles, like 2 or 3 times, or 4 times, 5 times. I interviewed for one program management role. I was like, this is it, right? Okay, so in the beginning, I was like, I need to get a job. I need to start applying for jobs. This is the funnel, right? I throw everything in the funnel, and what came out at the end was program manager.
And after how many jobs did you apply for?
Over 100.
Over 100.
I had over 15, 20 interviews.
And you end up walking away with only 1 job.
Yep.
So should I say?
Well, did you probably got other job offers, or not telling when you got offers?
I did end up. No, that was the only job offer I got. Most of them were like, "This is not for me," and we knew in the interview. I'm like the worst job interviewer because like in the middle of the interview, I'm like, I'm not really thrilled about that.
Yeah.
You know, oh, you want me to do like data entry as part of this job? No, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever. There's a lot of things I don't like doing. So when I didn't get a job, I was only sad because I didn't get one job I wanted, and it was between this job I took and the other job. And I was like, man, I was kind of bummed I didn't get it, but the pay would have been less, and it would have been more corporate, and I would have had a worse experience.
Right.
So I was actually kind of thrilled that I got this really hard, challenging job.
Wow.
I ended up taking. But so then once you're more efficient, then you can be effective, right? Because then you can take all the things you learned in that process of becoming more efficient and start taking that and honing it in and saying like, it's like whittling things down. Now you have a knife, but before you had a stick, right? So once you've whittled it down, you've made a tool that you can then use, right? You've shaped it into something. Then you can just use it over and over again. And then that's when you start making, again, like I call it systems, right? You will start making a system of, I can always do this, and I know exactly how much time it's going to take, and now I can organize my whole day around it.
Wow. I love that example. So
Right.
you're taking this piece of wood that's very impractical on its own, but as you whittle it down, you end up with tools.
Right.
And if you take that and apply it to everything, then you'll have a whole toolkit
Right.
pretty soon. So that's execution. Let's talk about efficiency now.
Right.
How is that? Why is that step 2, and what is efficiency?
Right. So the fun thing I like talking about efficiency is now that you're doing something, just try to get better at doing that thing. Don't say, oh, I can do it faster this way or that. Just, if you're a data entry person, how can you enter the data more efficiently? Less errors. What are your metrics? How are you measuring what success is at that point? Don't try to say, oh, and I got to add this in, or instead of data entry, I should also do data analysis. Don't add more roles into your efficiency. Just make that one thing very specific, very efficient. So I talk about this with startups. Have you ever met a startup entrepreneur? They're like, oh, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And I'm like, okay, so who's your customer? Oh, it's this type of customer, this guy's, and it's like wrong.
It's not clear.
Right. So I'm trying to think of his name, and I can't right off the top of my gosh. This.
Yeah, we talked about elevator speeches
Yeah.
a while back. We were in a class together, but you have to have your elevator pitch, which means be clear and very quick. What are you doing, and who are you doing it for?
Right.
Who's your customer?
Exactly. And dominate small markets. Dominate the market that you think is the smallest group of customers in the smallest market that you think has the potential to expand.
So you think the old theory, big fish in small sea versus small fish in big sea?
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
think that you should be a big fish in a small sea?
Right. If your whole thing is like, let's take a crowded marketplace like rental cars.
Right.
Right. I had a rental car experience.
Well, not now, because no one's got cars
Nobody's
anymore.
got cars. Yeah.
Yeah, but in general.
In general, right. So okay, so if you're you want to start a rental car business, right? What customer are you solving the problem for that is not currently getting their needs met? So let's say you have one of my biggest complaints about rental car companies is like they're all at the airport.
Yeah.
And then there's a few
Well,
neighborhood ones.
Well,
Right.
yeah.
Like Enterprise.
Enterprise now has
Okay.
changed that.
Right. But so because they wanted to dominate a small market, there's how many people really in suburban, urban areas need a car for the day? But
Repair shops.
right, whatever, repair shops, or in Israel, it's not so common to own a car. So you're taking a bus. Well, a bus takes 4 hours. A car would take 1. I'm going to pay 100 shekels or 1,000 shekels to save 3 hours of my day.
Yeah.
Or the efficiency of the bus running. Maybe it doesn't, all these other things that happen with the bus, a car just is better for that day, right? And so they solved that problem. I literally went into this woman's apartment. She has cars. She rents them out. She charges a very low rate, and it's available. It's awesome. She doesn't want to compete at the airport. She doesn't want to compete with high-end cars. She doesn't want to compete with, you know what I mean? She picks a very specific niche market, and she makes money, and then she can grow it from there if she wants.
That's the Airbnb model.
Yeah.
Well, that's in America now.
All the hotels used to be centered in specific areas. Airbnb said to get a more authentic experience.
Right.
This neighborhood over here is a very trendy neighborhood. There's no hotels there, but there's people have extra rooms.
Right.
And that's Airbnb's model.
So if you could sum up Airbnb in one word, what would you use?
Efficiencies.
Okay.
Wow. I don't know where I would start. Experience.
Right.
Experiences.
Right. So you're both right. They make their business model hyper efficient.
Yes.
They make it so the map view, everything they did is for you to say, I can make a decision right now. But experience, where do they dominate in their strategy? They want you to have experience you cannot have in a hotel.
Their biggest growth now is in stays 30 days and longer. That's their biggest growth of their business because people want to have experience, especially with people now working from home. People want to go. People want to go. I think it's one of the Caribbean islands where they're like killing it because everyone's going down there, and they're also going to give you like if you come for more than 30 days, you get some tax write-offs, different things like that.
Oh,
and
wow.
by the way, I love Airbnb as a business. It's one of my favorite businesses to invest in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously overpriced as far as valuation goes, but any good business is because people who are smart want to invest in it. But I love it. I think that could be right now. It's under $100 billion, probably 70 or 60, but it could easily be $1 trillion company.
Right.
I mean, there's no reason why Airbnb can't be one of the biggest companies in the world.
They're already the biggest hotel company.
Oh yeah, they're worth more than the top 4 hotel companies put together.
Yeah,
and they don't own a hotel room. And they don't own a hotel room.
That's crazy.
They have a platform. I love it.
Right. Right. We could talk about balance sheet investing, all that stuff in another
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
But why that doesn't make sense all the time. But
Yeah.
anyway, whatever.
Right. So that's efficiency.
Right.
These Airbnb, it's enterprise putting their cars in new places. It's efficient.
Talking about cars, I needed a car for the upcoming holiday, and I couldn't find a car anywhere in Israel. So my daughter mentioned to her friend that we couldn't find a car. Her husband, he saw the prices that they're getting for car rentals. So I worked a deal with them. So I have a car now. It's a lot of money, but I have access to a car from a guy in my neighborhood because he's going away. He's leaving the country for a few weeks. And he's giving me his car.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Because enough money, when car companies had plenty of cars back before Corona, and you could rent the car for like $250 a week, it wasn't worth it for some private guy to rent this car out.
Right.
But now you're paying hundreds of dollars a day. It's worth it for people to rent their car out.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny that you bring up that idea because like that's how like the Airbnb model started was like they just saw like why don't you just rent out your room, like you're gone, you're not using your car, why don't you just use the capacity that your car has and rent it to somebody.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Finally, let's talk about effectiveness. That's the third of these 3 E's.
Right.
And what is effectiveness?
Effectiveness is now that you've used efficiency to make your processes faster, now you can analyze, are my processes making the goal happen quicker, right? So effectiveness is how much am I taking the things that I'm doing and accomplishing the goal over and over again. So like a salesperson, right? So if you look at your process, you might be very efficient on making 100 calls a day, but are your calls actually yielding you money, right? And so you look at your process and you say, maybe I should change the way I speak. Maybe I should make fewer calls. Maybe my calls should last longer, or vice versa. Maybe they should be shorter. Maybe it's a numbers game. So now you can take the data you collected, now that you're in your systems of efficiency, and then you can become more and more effective. So you can start asking questions. That's what effectiveness is all about. How can I be more effective? How can I accomplish this goal? Can I accomplish this goal now that I have this part of my business working well? Right? That's all about effectiveness to me. I mean, you look like you're about to disagree with me.
I think the word efficiency and effectiveness are very similar. Because efficiency is about being more effective.
Right.
And I always want to know, I like the concept of, I like acronyms and things like that, the 3 E's. Efficiency, execution, efficiency, and effectiveness. But I really feel like it's very similar to efficiency. To be effective is to be efficient, isn't it?
What's the difference?
So the thing is that it's like if I told you to hammer nails into a board, right? And you found the best way to hammer those nails into the board, that's efficient, right? But if I say is to build a building, right? You can now say, do I need to hammer nails into this? Or can I use glue? Can I use different material? So now you're starting to ask questions. Now you're the most efficient nail in the board guy.
But there's more effective way of doing it.
But there's more effective when you start understanding there's a bigger goal. You can advance. You can go to the next level. You can start understanding maybe the thing that I'm doing isn't the thing I need to be doing anymore. You can't do that until you're efficient.
Right.
You cannot do that. You cannot move these things out of order. That's the key. You cannot know. You will not know until you're doing it. You know it's at the maximum efficiency, and then you can ask questions: should I be doing this or not?
That's a very nuanced difference.
Yeah.
I like it though because they are different.
Yeah,
they
are
different, and they're both critical in the order you just explained.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a life lesson, right? Like one of the things people often do is say, I have to go to work for 8 hours, and they never ask themselves, do I really?
I know, it's funny, isn't it?
Do I really?
Right? Can we talk about that? The 5-day work week, 9 to 5, which has become 8 to 6.
Yeah.
Plus an hour commute each way.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound efficient for sure. It depends on what you're doing.
Right.
Is it about the amount of time you're in the office? Is it even about being in the office?
Oh.
I could talk about that also.
I think we have. I've talked about relationships before, but like the relationship you have with work is such a key relationship in your life. And some people love going to the office and not coming home until late at night, and they like being around coworkers and all these other things. And some people hate it.
Yeah.
I hated it. Let me work from home. When I worked from home during COVID, it was the happiest I could be. And I worked more hours. I put in more work. I was available more often.
Yeah.
I was more efficient. Like, I was so much more happy working from home. Those people are now getting forced to come back into an office,
But
the people like me.
That's specific to each person.
Oh, for sure.
If you had 5 kids at home,
Right.
or between 3 and 9,
Yeah,
there's no way you can work at home.
No.
It's impossible.
No, no.
And it also depends what you're doing, what kind of office work you're doing. Like for me,
Right.
when I had my coin office, I had to have a place where I had my safes and security and my computer. I couldn't.
Right.
I tried working at home. I built an office for home. Never used it. I'm like, nothing happens at home.
Right.
But if you're single, then it's a different thing.
Right. And
Depends on the person and
Yeah.
the circumstances and whatever makes that person most effective.
And it depends on the business itself, whether you need to have a team
Right.
together to kind of play off of each other.
right, and so this goes back to like, but do they have to work for 8 hours a day?
No,
Right,
it's all about being efficient.
right, and there you go.
Yeah.
So if you can't be efficient and effective at home, then yeah, you should be in an office. And if you can't be efficient and effective in 2 hours, then yeah, you need 8 hours.
Yeah.
Right, but the problem is that we're stuck in what I call 1980s management theory.
Yeah.
Like there's this idea of like in 1980, and I just pick it up. It's like very random, but it feels that way. It's like in 1980, at the peak of management science, it's like stick and carrot, IBM, all these businesses. That's what you need to be. And I'm like, no, they were wrong. We're allowed to say that they were wrong, or times have changed, and we need to come up with something a better structure. So there's a lot of entrepreneur CEOs that say, if you can get the work done in 1 hour that day, go home. I disagree with that a little bit, but okay, so if you're somebody who is a salesperson, your quota is $1 million, you hit one sale, it's $1 million. Yeah, you should be able to take the week off. Now, no salesman would want to do that after hitting $1 million.
Right, they're going to keep going.
But
and I don't want to hire someone who's going to quit after $1 million.
But the guy who brings in that $1 million deal is done for the year, let's say, and he has another 12 weeks to go, he's going to get bored at one point in the week. And he wants to take a vacation. He's going to get burnout. And now you could say, dude, go home. I'm going to pay you to leave. Because I know next year you're going to close a $4 million deal.
Right.
And you're going to have a relationship with this company. You're going to have a positive relationship with work. Right? They always say, I've seen it 1,000,000 times on LinkedIn, probably 1,000,000 times more out of LinkedIn, is people don't leave bad companies, they leave bad bosses. Mm-hmm. Right? And that boss is, again, stuck in 1980s management style where you have to be doing all the things that say you're an efficient employee. And instead of saying each individual of my company needs different things. One thing I found hilarious. So I was working at my last company, and there was me, a woman, and an older guy that was basically the core team. And then we had new people coming in. The woman wanted more vacation time and to work remote. The older guy wanted more people, more personnel on his support staff. He wanted more support staff, and he wanted, I think, like a better working relationship, some more, just more people, more employees. And I wanted more money. Okay, I was the only one that didn't get more money.
Oh.
Everybody else had my boss really sat down and thought about the budget and how to make his employees more successful and etc. He would have given me the more money. He would have let the woman go work remote and whatever she wanted, and then he would have hired 2 more support staff, and he could have done that all with the budget that he had. Instead, he didn't. Right? That is management. That is being efficient and effective. That's being a good manager. Right? And it's funny because she got more money and was still miserable. He quit. Paid him a big salary raise, and he quit. So
that's not what he wanted.
Right.
It's the same thing we've talked about relationships. Is if a relationship is about giving your partner what your partner wants.
Right.
Otherwise, it's like I want to serenade you, but you've got a horrible voice, and you sing like I feel so connected when I sing to you. That's a connection. I feel connected. She doesn't. That's not building a relationship.
Right. Exactly. So. We wanted to talk about the theory of money that I have.
Yes, we have to get
I know
into
that you guys are itching to get there. So basically, the way this came about was I was leaving to come to yeshiva. I had a very nice paying job. I enjoyed what I did. And of course, whatever. I wanted more money. I wanted things everybody wants. But I was ambitious, and I stopped all of that to come here. And really what happened wasn't the coming here. It was before coming here. It really changed my whole worldview. Which was, if somebody gave me $1 million, $10 million, $100 million, how much would I change my life? And the answer is that not much.
No.
I would still come to work. I still like what I do. I'm still enjoying the things that I'm doing. Okay, so I wouldn't have to be so ambitious to get pay raises, but my life wouldn't change. And so I was like, why don't I just have that mentality now? Why don't I just feel that way now? I love what I do. I'll do it. I'll continue to do it, whether I have $1 or $1 billion. Why is money dictating that? So I started thinking about what's driving that, and it's really about the relationship that you have with your money. Mm-hmm. Most people say, I want to make more money because they start seeing things on Instagram and LinkedIn, and I bought a Ferrari, and I have this thing, and it's your friend, and he's a billionaire. And I saw an article yesterday that said, there's 12 billionaires under the age of 30. Now, I'm 30 years old. I could have been very offended. I should be a billionaire.
Yeah.
Right? Instead, it was like, good for them. I don't want $1 billion.
Right.
I don't need $1 billion. Why? Because let's say somebody did give me $1 billion. What would I do with it? I would save $5 million and I'd give the rest of the money away. What do I need this money for?
Well, that's why a lot of the billionaires now sign that pledge that Warren Buffett put out. You give half your, I think it's a half or 90%, whatever it is, you give it away because you don't. It's ridiculous.
Right.
There's only so much you can have.
You can only have so many yachts. Like my favorite thing is you see these like movie stars and musicians, and they have like so many cars.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
It's like, and they don't know anything about cars. Most of them, they just like buy it because their friend has it.
Right.
Right, and then they buy one for their whole family. Like everybody's, and like they sit in a garage. Like there's a song that's like, why do you have a 6-car garage when you only have 5 cars? Right. Oh, because he's gonna make enough money to get the 6. You can only drive one at a time.
Yeah.
Now I get it. You have money. You want to have a leisure car and a sports car. Right, fine. But like when I look at money, if you said like I give you $1 billion, right, I would not own a car. My driver would own a car, and I'd be driven around.
When we moved from America to Israel, I had 3 cars. I just say one time I had 4 cars in America, and when we came to Israel, I have had for 3 years. Of course, now I can't get a rental car, but I have no car. I don't want a car. I'd rather pay too much money to rent a car. I do not want a car anymore.
Right.
Yeah. And back when I was a single, I had a Porsche Cabriolet, I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and it was the worst experience of my life because like it's hard enough to have to take care of one car.
Right.
I'm only one person. I only need one car.
Right.
And I decided this is not going to make me happy. It didn't. I always wonder why people like they have to have so many cars. I never got into that love of cars.
Right.
And people parking it like, have to park it at the back of the parking lot of the mall because they're afraid someone's going to scratch it. I go, it's just a piece of metal to take you from point A to point B.
Right.
I mean, it's nice to have a nice car. Believe me, if I'm gonna have a car, I'd rather have something that's nicer that goes faster. But like, it became this whole thing that we got people buying this mentality that cars are so important in our lives, where it's not.
Nope.
No.
And that's just one example. That's just one example. Houses, big houses. People need to have. I mean, my friend has a 4 or 5 bedroom house, and he has his wife, a kid that is a step kid that he switches time between mom and dad. And then they have a baby on the way. And it's like, does each person in that house need a room? The baby's going to have its own, master bedroom sized. It's like, I don't understand.
I have a buddy of mine back in America. He has 2 kids, not having any more. Right. They built a 16,000 square foot house. 16,000 square foot house for 2 kids. Right. And I don't know how many bedrooms, 8 bedrooms. Right. What's the point of it?
They don't love each other.
No, I don't think that's the story. I just think, I really believe that when people become successful and build a company, they sell it for a lot of money, there's this thing, in their ego has to show that, look, I've become successful, so I'm going to build this big mansion to show how successful I've been. I think that's what it's about.
I think it's, and this is where the theory of money all came from how I approach money is it just tells me you're not happy. It just tells me you're not happy. Hear me out. I know that you always disagree about this. We've talked about this a little bit before. You're just not. You don't understand what you need to be happy. Now there are people out there that want space and they want beauty in their lives, and that makes them happy for sure. But the person who says you need to see me be successful, I need to see me be successful, is unhappy, uncomfortable with their success.
It could just be low self-esteem.
It 100% is always. Yeah.
Does low self-esteem mean unhappiness? I don't know. Does that equate?
I think if you have
low self-esteem, being happy is a lot harder.
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends if it's an all the time thing or the some of the time thing. I get low self-esteem. I get depressed.
We all
I go through
low self-esteem.
We go through ranges of feeling, right? But the person who always feels that way has a problem.
Yeah.
And money's not going to solve it.
Their money as their self-esteem is missing the point.
Right. So my whole thing was like, okay, so when I started having these thoughts, I said, okay, so what's going to make my money life successful? And I said, I need to understand what my lifestyle is going to be. So I'm very fortunate that one of my mentors happens to be my uncle. He's a very successful financial advisor. And he said to me, a lot of people, when they ask me, when do you want to retire? Like, what do you want to do? I ask them, what do you want to do when you retire? And they don't know. And so he's like, that's one problem. But they also don't realize that they're going to have to retire. And he said, so you work backwards. When you want to retire, is the lifestyle you need to live now. if you want to retire at 55 and you want to have $1 million in the bank and you're going to live off of $35,000 a year, right? Kol hakavod, good for you. You can do that. You have a clear understanding what your lifestyle is going to be. You have a clear understanding of what your spending is going to be, right? What else do you need? My work here is done. Save money will make you $1 million. You can retire. Maybe you can retire at 45, right? Maybe you can do it early, later, right? But you have to have a clear understanding of what your lifestyle is going to be. And if you don't, you'll never retire. You'll never feel successful, and you're gonna have a pit in your stomach that you don't have enough money. Mm-hmm. So I bring an example from my personal life. I have a mentor, an older friend. Not friend, she's actually my mom. I was trying to quote this. She's going to listen to this, and she's going to be very upset with me. But it's true. And so she just came to this.
Mrs. Rosenberg, your son is really awesome. I really enjoy spending time with him. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you for covering me. For a long time, she was very uncomfortable with her success and her wealth because she had no idea when she was going to retire. She was very stressed out. Every day, everything, money, this, money, that, money, this. I'm paying for that. I'm paying for this. I have this expense. I have that expense. And the other day, she just looked at me and she goes, we were on video call. And she goes, I'm going to retire. I'm over it. I'm done. I'll find something to do. What changed? She realized she'll just live a smaller lifestyle. She'll have plenty of money to keep her alive for a very long time. She happens to have a medical condition. I'm now giving her personal information out. But she has a medical condition. She's worried that it might cause problems over time. But so far, it hasn't been too scary. And she's keeping a very normal life. She could continue this way for another 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, right? She'll see grandkids and maybe even great-grandkids. Like, at her rate, her mom lived a long time. Her grandmother lived a long time. So she just realized, like, oh, if I want to live to 120, Emeretz Hashem, I can retire now because I spend $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
And I have more than enough, right? For, 30 years.
But she
years.
has to have something to do. You can't just, I see so many cases of people that had a job their whole life and finally this big retirement party, and a year later they're dead from heart attack because they have no purpose in their life. And some people's purpose is really to go down to Florida and chase a little white ball into a small hole with as few shots as possible. And that also, for a few days, yeah, it's great to play golf for a few days. I know you like golf, and I enjoy it, but okay, after 3 days, we go playing golf. Okay, what else is my life going to be about? You have to have meaning and purpose in your life.
For sure.
You got to find meaning and purpose. Ultimately, that's what it all comes down to.
Right. So her whole thing is and this is also the thing that switched for her. We've always joked that she needs to open a restaurant because she's phenomenal at what she does. And, every kid says that about their mom, but my mom, people literally would come all over the neighborhood just to have her food.
Yeah.
But
it's different when you're making for your friends and your family than making for people coming in paying for it.
She makes food for a lot of people.
Yeah.
She's done that before.
Yeah.
She has recipes that are very easy to replicate and are amazing.
As a business consultant,
I
would not recommend you go open a restaurant.
Yeah. It's how do you make $1 million in the restaurant industry? Start with $1 billion.
Yeah.
No, whatever. She wants to open up a little bakery.
Yeah.
And she has no need to make money. She doesn't need the money. If she spent $10,000 a year on it, she lost money on it, $10,000 a year, right? And then she had a lifestyle where she only spent another $25,000.
She do it.
She's well within her retirement goal.
Yeah.
She's spending $35,000 a year.
And she's got a purpose even during that retirement.
Right.
Let's be clear about something. Right. So your theory of money is that you shouldn't be focused on how much you can make. You should be focused on how much you're going to need.
Right.
So you're just changing the whole mindset that if I want to fly a private jet on vacation, then I need to make this kind of money. And if I'm happy just taking cheap cruises and driving down to the beach and renting a nice small house for a week and not spending a lot of money, that I don't need to make this much money.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the lifestyle. The other part of the lifestyle is what do I do every day, right? I spend on average maybe $30 a week. I'm in yeshiva, everything's paid for, right?
Right.
But $30 a week on maybe wine.
Oh my
maybe.
gosh! I breathe and I spend $100.
Yeah.
I just because I have 5 kids and
right.
I'm hosting people all the time and our whole family likes to eat healthy, so not just regular vegetables, have to be organic and
right.
Of
course. And by the way, if you are in Israel and you want a Shabbos meal, you hit up Coach.
Right.
I'm telling you, it's 9.9 out of 10.
Thank you. We have to get working that little 0.1 to
right.
get to
right. That's
10.
how I know. That's the only way. If
and
I said that now, I know you're going to work harder.
And it's not the food, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what the point 1 is, honestly. It's a 10 out of 10 experience.
No, but you have to.
There's no such thing as perfect.
If I said perfect, he would be like, all right, then.
Now I can calm down, right? We can always be working. Always, we make it sure it's very interactive, fun, as you guys know.
Right.
That it's and your mom knows after
Oh,
coming.
my mom was a big fan.
Yeah.
It was great.
When do we get your mom to my house for Shabbos meal?
Oh, she's coming, God willing, in August.
Okay.
Wow.
So she's gonna kind of try to come in that summer break. It's gonna be. I don't want to talk too much about what's going on this year. I have an amazing year planned.
Yeah.
I have people come visiting me. Amazing opportunities to connect. I love being in Israel. I love this country. I love the people. But again, like I've created my life where no matter what I'm doing, I'm loving it.
Well, what you did was really, I mean,
So it's
really.
hard for-
what-
I'm the
what
worst
you
person
did-
to-
Listen, I did
Yeah.
the same thing. You know,
Right.
I had a thriving business, a rare coin dealer. I was doing tons of business, had an office, had everything set up, and when basically said, you know what? And I got to the point in time where meaning and purpose meant more to me. And this,
Right.
of course, it talks about me. Of course, it could be, but more about me. It was more about meaning and purpose in my life than just making money. I had made enough money. I decided that I don't need to work anymore, and I could do what I wanted, which is basically teaching. And you know, if you said to me, "You have to come every day and do a podcast with Brandon," I'd be like, "That's the life.
Right.
That'd be the perfect retirement for me."
Right.
And that's what I would love to do. We don't do it
Exactly.
every day, but I would love to. You know, because I love teaching, I love speaking, and really the idea. Thank God, I was very blessed to have made enough money that I can do this
Right.
and put into some real estate. But like your idea of the theory of money is a game changer, because the idea of theory of money is not how much I need to make; it's how much do I need in my life.
Right.
And I think people would be a lot happier. I don't think it's going to change physically, but I think it's going to change your emotional state as far as how happy you are in your life.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing about that.
And I think like people think retirement is stopping, but retirement is just slowing down. It's just doing the thing. It's not. I need to be grinding my face off all the time. Remember, and you haven't slowed down actually.
No, if people
That's
say,
the-
"What do you do?"
yeah.
I'm like, I don't
You're
really.
sped up. Wow.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
4 books in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I'm done with 5. I don't. People ask me what to do. I'm like, I don't really do anything, but I'm busy all the time.
Right.
You know.
I mean, there's a difference though. At work, you were trying to be an efficient, effective tool. You were doing the things that needed to be done. Right. It was brutal. It was business. But now it's like you're staying busy in the sense that there's certain things that you do all day long. But in reality, the thing that make you efficient, effective, your business stuff, is slowed down tremendously.
Yes.
Now you're busy. You're raising kids. You're doing things.
Have you
You're
heard the
doing-
story about the fisherman? There's a story that I think has to do with the theory of money. A guy's fishing. He's fishing in the water, and he's a really good fisherman. And a guy notices, like, hey, you're a really good fisherman. He goes, yeah, thank you. And he fishes for an hour, and he goes home. And the guy says, and every day he comes out there and fishes. And this man is watching him, says, you're such a great fisherman. Why don't you, hire a few people to help, fish for you? And you can teach them all your skills, and then you can sell those fish. And eventually you can buy a boat, and eventually a few boats. And the next thing you know, you're worth millions of dollars because of your skills in fishing. I mean, it's amazing. You're an amazing fisherman. And then you can take that money and do what you always wanted to do in life. And the guy says, I already do.
Oh, wow. I like it.
Yeah, exactly,
I like
exactly. And that is perfectly sums up like the mindset you should have about work, and the mindset you should have every day is like. And again, in my business, in my coaching business, I work with a lot of people who are going to college or starting out in their career as well, and they're just like, I don't know what I want to do, and it's like that's the best. That's the best place to be because everything is exciting.
Everything's new.
Everything's
You
new.
have opened everything.
Right.
Where people say they want to be like your friend Andrew talking about it. He wants to be a robot designer or
Right.
builder. Well, he's got a very specific, narrow-minded thing.
Right.
You could make arguments both ways that, when people know what they want in life, they're going to go after it, whereas someone's not sure they could flounder.
Right.
And what happens to a lot of people is they find a job, and that becomes who they are. And they didn't pick that job; it just happened to be the job they happened to get.
Right.
Pizza maker. I'm a pizza maker. That's my life, and this I enjoy doing. But they fell into it. They didn't choose what they wanted. They didn't have their own goals in life.
Right.
And I kind of disagree with you on that. I think sometimes it's better to have a passion about something.
Yeah, and sorry, hold on. I want to
Not
just.
saying anything.
I love the rebuttal. This is
Yeah.
I'm half Italian, so the rebuttal is what I live for.
Yeah.
But the people that flounder, the reason they flounder is not because they don't know what they want to do. The reason is they don't want to make a decision on what they're going to do, right? And that hesitation is why they flounder. But if you told me, Mark, you're going to go be a garbage man tomorrow, and I'll find something about garbage collection.
I got to tell you, that is so true. Because in my life, I always thought,
See?
what?
Nice.
No, you're right. You're right. Okay, rebuttal on myself. I always said to myself, I'd rather sell hot dogs on the street than be stuck in a dead-end job.
Right.
I'd rather be working for myself, doing my own thing, something that even if I'm not passionate about, I will make myself passionate about. You know what my favorite job in the world was?
Security guard.
pizza maker.
Oh, pizza maker.
I made pizzas back at Mary Washington College, a place called It's a Pizza, and I worked with, unbelievable guys, and we made pizzas every day, and it was so much fun. And I love making people happy. Now, of course, for every slice I ate one.
Right.
So I gained like 30 pounds.
Right.
Besides, a different story.
We talked about that before.
I probably have.
pizza.
I like talking about that because I love pizza. Anyway, so my point is, I made that job passionate. If you told me right now I'm going to be a pizza maker for the rest of my life, I'd be like, I'd do it.
Right.
I'd be happy. Make falafels. I actually tried to get a job here in Jerusalem. I'd work for free at a falafel stand on Bezalel Street because they're all Israelis and they all speak Hebrew, and a lot of people flock to it. It's always busy, and there's always Hebrew being spoken everywhere, and I don't speak any Hebrew. Right. And I said to my wife, if I worked there 2-3 hours a week or 5 hours a week, I'd start speaking Hebrew because I don't speak anything. And I went to get a job, and he said, go take some ulpan. He goes, he wouldn't hire me for free. I offered my job for free. Because if you immerse yourself in something like that, then you'll start to speak the language.
Right.
And guess what? I would have fun doing, even though I don't need the money. I would, whatever. I'd be oiling, whatever. But I would have fun doing that job.
Right. So that's what I talk about right there, that last part, which is
have fun in your job.
I wanted to go do this job because I was going to learn Hebrew.
Right.
Now, most people that are unhappy in their job, they say, well, I make falafel all day long. How can I be happy in a job that makes falafel all day long? You've lost sight of what the purpose of that job is. Now, some people very easily, and mostly in sales and things like that, connect to making money, right? The more money I make, the more I'm connected to my job. That's the goal, make money. But that's not everybody's goal. It cannot be everybody's goal. You have to be very specific on what your goal is, because how do you know you need to leave that job? How do you know? If you don't know what the goal of the job is, why you took the job in the first place, then you're never going to leave. And you're going to be stuck in a dead-end job. And you're going to have a dead-end mindset. And everything about you is going to be dead on the inside. Your relationships will reflect that a lot of times. And you'll be like, I can never retire. Anybody who says I can never retire is that's like going to a football game, back to the football analogies, and not knowing what play you're going to run. You're just calling plays. What do you mean? They're never going to win the game.
Or preparing for the game to end one day.
Right.
To win the game.
Right. So things, people say they waste so much time. This is my biggest thing. I talk about, again, going back to efficiency. You do not realize how much time you waste. How much you're on your phone scrolling. You get into a scroll, and it doesn't matter, because what are you trying to do? You're saying, well, in 15 minutes, I'll be having the fun part. The fun part will come in 15 minutes. I was on a vacation the other day, a group vacation, and so they were doing certain activities I wasn't so thrilled about. I'm not a big water guy.
I just want to hear how weird it is to hear Mark say he was on a vacation.
I know.
This guy complains about one-day trips.
Yeah, I do. I'm complaining about one right now. It's just a subtle way of how I'm complaining about my vacation. I'm like the worst vacation person. Right? They're like, Mark, what do you want to do on vacation? What I do now. I love what I do. Why do I have to change?
This is vacation.
Doing?
Yeah. This is my vacation too.
Give me more things to do.
Yeah.
I like the things. You know?
It's funny, you said you talked about people getting stuck with scrolling.
Yeah.
It's called the World Wide Web. It's no coincidence it's called a web.
Yeah.
Right? You get caught. The
Yeah.
spiders catch you in the web.
Yeah.
And the funny, when your desktop, there's the enter button, but there's no exit button. It's an escape button because you have to escape the web. You can't exit it.
Wow. That's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Wow.
I'll be here every week.
Yeah, thank
That's
you.
a good one.
And so we're on this vacation, and we're all sitting by the water in the sun and whatever. And I enjoyed my sun. I'm ready to get in the car, go home, eat some falafel, go home, and go back to doing what I do every day. And instead, we sat there for hours, and everybody's having a good time drinking beer. But what did I do? I just sat there and played on my phone, or I sat there and ate food and conversated with some people. Whatever, but I was just trying to pass the time, and that is the worst phrase you can tell. I'm just trying to pass some time.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, it's so.
Yeah.
It's evil to say that to yourself, because people trade in resources. This is this is a kind of a bigger, higher level thing. So stick with me, okay? So people trade in resources, and people often think that the hottest commodity they can trade in is money. Wrong.
Time.
Time.
Sure.
Time. You have a limited time. You can make almost infinite money, right? You can get to a place where you are in an infinite money mindset, where you have enough that you can last eternity with, right? Millions of dollars, let's say. But time, you can never get back. You can never go back on time.
Rich person, poor person, you can't buy time, you can't save time. We have all the exact, me and Jeff Bezos and I, we have the exact amount of time. I mean, whatever. He might live longer. I might live whatever. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But today we have the exact same amount of time.
Right.
And it depends what you do with your time.
Exactly.
And your mindset when you're living in that time.
Right. So Elon Musk talks about this. Like, I don't think Elon Musk would care if he was a quadrillionaire or a billionaire. Or
No,
it
he's
doesn't
definitely
matter.
not doing it for money.
Definitely. But he loves his day. He wakes up every day
Yeah.
doing the thing he wants to be doing.
Yeah.
And if you can also do that. And you can do that with a lot less money. You don't have to. If you can change your mindset in that, then you will be happy. I guarantee it. You can call me afterwards. I'll give you my number. If you're unhappy doing the things that you want to be doing and not making money, call me. We'll talk.
Email the Fish and Coach Show, and I'll give you his number.
Yeah.
At gmail.com.
Right.
At gmail.com, right?
Right. So I know that it's true. I know it's a fact. Like, if you're happy with what you're doing, you're just gonna be a happy person. You know, I met so many people in nonprofit that raise money and make phone calls all day long and make $20,000 a year. Actually, a funny story, when I was working at that nonprofit, I asked one of the ladies if I should take the full-time offer. I was going to be, eventually they were training me to be the CEO for the Big Brothers Big Sisters in the
Wow.
Big Bend. Yeah. It was a great organization, really well run. I don't know if I say that now, but I'm hypothesizing that's what they wanted me to do.
Okay.
And I was getting amazing training with an amazing employee. And I asked one of the other employees, like, should I take the full-time offer? And she's like, it's amazing, blah, blah, blah. I said, but how much do you get paid? And she's like, oh, I've gotten promoted 3 times. And I was like, whoa, so you're making, like, good money. She's like, I make good money, $18,000 a year.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
18. But to her, why was that good money? Because she
she
would have done it
is
for free.
Free, yeah. Yeah.
She would have worked for free for that job.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, $20,000 a year, $25,000 a year. Teachers make very little money, and the teachers that do it for a long time don't teach because they're making millions of dollars. They teach because they love what they do.
Yeah.
They're changing the world. They really believe that.
Right.
Otherwise, you don't do it.
Well, they are changing. They are.
Right.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
But
Not
you have
believe
to
it's
know that you're
truth.
doing it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the whole.
That's a great theory of money. It's a tool,
Right.
but time is much more valuable.
Time is much
and loving what you're doing
Right.
is more valuable than any of that.
Right. So that's why you become an efficient person. Because if you're efficient with your time, you're locked into that. I'm doing the right thing at the right time always. Right. There's so many times where you say, you ever go to a lecture, a motivational speaker, you walk out of there, wow, that was amazing, amazing. A week later, I ask you, what was that all about?
Can't remember.
Can't remember a thing.
Yeah.
So when people ask me, so this is a lot of what kind of theories, things I coach about, whatever, is when people ask me every day, how are you, like, what's up, how are you doing? I say, I'm living the dream. And people always like, that's such a silly, other people say, but this guy, freshman year of college, orientation, gave a speech. He said, I'm going to teach you 2 things, how to be positive and how to juggle. So he taught me how to be positive, but he did not teach me how to juggle. But 50-50 is not so bad. 50-50 is not so bad. And he said, I do this for a living, and I love what I do. And so when people ask me how I'm doing, I'm not saying I'm doing well, because that's not true. I'd be lying to them if I said I'm doing great, I'm doing well, I'm doing amazing. Name your adjective. No, I am living the dream. And you can too. You just have to say it. You have to say those words. I'm living the dream. And every day somebody asks me, now sometimes they are sarcastic answers back that I am living the dream. But most of the time, I'm loving the moment I'm in. I'm living in that moment. I'm constantly connected. I'm doing exactly what I want to be doing. I know that it's right. I know it's the thing that I should be doing. And so why wouldn't I be living the dream?
That's exactly the mindset to have.
That is so inspirational.
It doesn't mean
really.
you're having a great time doing it all the time, but you're living the dream.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
what you dreamt of doing, and you're loving what you're doing.
Yeah. You got to find something that you love to do
Right.
for your life. And as long as you can live a lifestyle that matches that, you'll be living the dream.
And the thing is like when you're at work, that phrase, like, and that mentality, when you go to do a project or you're going, like, say you're a computer programmer, right, and you're coding the same thing for the 6th time, right? If you love computer programming, you just remember, I'm living the dream right now.
Yeah.
I'm doing the thing. Okay, yeah, this project stinks and this assignment stinks, but when it's done, I'm gonna really enjoy it. Or, I really love that for the 6th time I saw something I didn't see in the 5th time. That's good. I learned a new skill. I acquired something. Whatever your, I call it a non-monetary currency is, right? Valuable time, working on interesting projects, being connected to other people, whatever. These are all currencies we can actually trade in, right? Like meaning. I want to live a meaningful life. If you have a job that cures cancer and you have a son whose baseball game is the same day of a major meeting with a big conglomerate, I use the word that I said nobody knows. And they want to buy your cancer solving software or medicine, right? What's more meaningful to you? Right. You can now trade in between those activities, right? You could save millions of lives. You could go and you'd be surprised, like in the calculation for I'm going to save millions of lives. Yeah, but you have meetings like this all the time.
Yeah.
But for your son's baseball game, this is a championship game. You have to be there.
Yeah.
That's more meaningful. And then you can start saying, well, maybe his meaningful time is more important, more valuable. Because that's the way I build the relationship. I don't just trade at profit all the time. Sometimes I have to trade at a loss to reap the rewards of that transaction.
When you have the leverage, though, of that cancer-saving drug, don't worry. They're going to push out the meeting for an hour so you can go to your baseball game. Right. It's all about leverage in life.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, also back to your points, which are all about, what's my negotiation position? Where am I?
Yeah. You always want that leverage.
Living the dream. It sounds like a great
dream,
place
baby.
to wrap up. But I just want to ask, you knew this question was going to come eventually. So if you had a billboard.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. What would it say? You can get what's the one message you want to get out to the world?
So this is a Louis C.K. quote. At least that's who I heard it from that I really love. And it's the theme of this podcast a bit, which is never look at your neighbor's bowl to see what they have. Look at your neighbor's bowl to see if they have enough.
Oh,
that's good.
Beautiful.
That's nice.
Right.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining us, Mark.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll have you again in the future.
Yeah, you've been amazing.
Thank you.
Can't wait to have you again.
Twice. Such a privilege to talk to you and get to know, just to pick your mind a little bit.
Thank you.
Hope you have a lot more to think about. Thank you for watching and listening to the Fish and Coach Show.
Yeah, see you next time.